The Owls by Cherish Monster. Read by ActionGal. Ahead, there was nothing. Behind him, nothing. Right, left, and beneath him, nothing. Jules Sevenour was engulfed by a suffocating darkness that took his breath. No, not quite. Above him pulsated an effervescent shard of light, distant, but if he could find some way to climb, it might be a way back to the world of larks. Decades ago, the owls had grown so in numbers, their preference for night began to seep into day. The change began almost imperceptibly. Nights seemed to linger and postponed dawn's arrival by minutes, hours, until little of day remained. The stronger owls became, the more forceful they were as they overtook the day and sought retaliation on the tyrannical larks who had governed everyone's lives. Day people have made our existence miserable, said Skylar Gloam, head of the reorganization. We don't want to be like them in an attempt to equalize our roles, but at least give them a taste of their own medicine. 50 years passed since the owls were the new larks. So blinded by an underlying need for retaliation, they became substitute dictators. The use of great energy surges derived from darkness reshaped the balance and established a new society in which owls were the norm. Business was conducted at night. Day people had to work at night whether they liked it or not. Appointments were scheduled for late night hours. Physicians and mental health facilities, formerly run by larks, were replaced by owls whose capabilities finally shined through. Disorientated and unable to function, larks felt the weight of jokes and ridicule. Let's see what makes you tick. We'll get you in to speak with the doctor and find out what's going on with you. Every owl revelled in the long overdue role reversal. As the darkness spread, their children ranked higher in school and surpassed the lark's offspring in accomplishments, because at last young owls could focus well enough to absorb what they were taught. They soared, figuratively and literally. The night reigned until one sliver of light endured. Jules shuddered. Where was he? Last he remembered, he retired early after a hard night pushing papers at his Uncle Willie's profitable light fixtures business. It seemed darker than usual when he arrived home. So tired he collapsed on the sofa without his usual shower and pasta salad before bed. Not this freaking dark, though, he thought. Have I gone blind? God, am I blind? He slapped his hands over his eyes. Jules felt his neck snap. He looked up so fast. Damn! He winced and grabbed the base of his skull, but remembering the light felt worth the pain. Dimmer, he thought. I've got to find a way to climb. How the hell do I climb when I can't? Wait a sec. He rubbed his eyes. They seemed to be adjusting, and the gloom slowly lifted to a shadowy haze in which he could trace the faint but indistinct outline of his living room. Larks were attracted to the slightest spark as moths once fluttered around porch lights on hot summer evenings. Their stomachs tensed painfully with anticipation. If they concentrated hard enough, they could fly again like old times. Yes! Jules cocked his head. His white hair streaked with black toppled to the side as he studied the waning crescent illumination overhead. Dying. Oh, sweet Jesus, he thought. It's dying. His father, Erie's words glided through his brain. Calm yourself, Jules. Breathe. It's the only way to ascend. You need to practice your skills, boy, or we'll be stuck here forever. You know I won't fly without you. But you did, Daddy, Jules whispered in the darkness. I wasn't ready. Just 7. I wasn't ready and you left me behind. 15 years is a long time to bear a grudge, but children tend to nurture hurts subconsciously or explicitly. Jules' hatred qualified for the latter. F you, Dad. I'm grown now and I can do this. I know I can, if it's not too late. The beanbag lounger was the closest furniture Jules could make out in the dinginess that could sit on comfortably to focus his attentions. Even before he sat down, images of flight stirred his mind with vague memories. Flocks of avians, their numbers so vast they dwarfed the sun, filled the skies. Radiant, dazzling, formidable in their magnificence and beauty to anyone left with a sensitivity to see and listen. Geese eclipsed the fluffy cumulus high overhead. Sparrows, larks, swarmed at sunup. There was a symmetry to the world, an equilibrium that made sense. Laughter. Jules' laughter had retired with his father's departure, yet he began to giggle. Had he closed his eyes, his recollection of the meditative process were replaced by reminiscences that tugged at his heart and scattered his thoughts. Was he still breathing? You're quite alive, Jules, Erie said, but neither of us will be much longer. Daddy, Jules gritted his teeth. Well, boy, at least you soared before you kicked the old bucket. Credit when credit's due. Jules opened his eyes to sunlight. This is the last speck so shiny. Erie tilted his head slowly from one side to the other, scrutinizing his son. All these years and you didn't grow to much, did you? He said. You left me, Jules yelled. You said you wouldn't fly without me. Hell, boy, Erie interrupted. Still whiny and a dreamer, too, I bet. Jules squinted. I won't argue with you, Erie, he said. Hey, I'm your father, boy. Don't take liberties. When? When what? When have you been my father? Best keep note, you're not too old. I can't slap you, silly boy. Can you? Jules smiled. Really, Erie, if you think you still can, go ahead. Try. I'll stomp a mud hole in you so deep that Cuvier's whale couldn't find the bottom of it. Erie studied Jules intensely. Boy, you and your creatures, he snickered. But I like your nerve. You showed some backbone for a change. Always had that, Erie. You try to beat it out of me often enough. Jules inhaled deeply. Lavender, he said wistfully. I remember the winter we had 18 inches of snow, and our lavender bush split down the middle. You were going to saw it off come spring, remember? Erie smiled. Yeah, I remember. You seen some show about Grafton and begged me to give you a chance to save it. Ridiculous. All that trouble for a shrub. It got a nasty cold and everything, all for a stupid plant. Nothing living is stupid. Jules twitched. His entire body felt their imminent demise. The light was terminal. They were dead. A few had flown before them, dead. The last fragment of light flickered and went out like the proverbial candle in a slight breeze. Epilogue. Daddy, Daddy! Jules shook his father frantically. Wake up! The owls! The owls! What you going on about, boy? Like to scare the bejeebers out of me. Daddy, it's the owls. The owls are coming to steal the sun and... Boy, if you woke me up out of a sound sleep for crap nonsense. No, Daddy, it's the night people. They want to get even with the day people, like us. They... Jules backed away from his father, but it was too late. Eerie Savenor propped himself on his elbow and walloped 7-year-old Jules hard as he could across the cheek. Back in bed by 3 or else, he roared. But Daddy, Jules sobbed. 1, Jules cried harder and scrambled backwards. 2. Eerie laughed and plopped back down. You look like Mr. Krabs on that cartoon show. He snuggled down into warm comforter and howled with glee. Call it 2.5 as a birthday gift. Best hightail it. Jules leaped to his feet and ran. Mummy would have listened to me, he thought. His bare feet thumped along the uncarpeted floor of the short hallway that led to his closet-sized room. Why did you have to go to the grocery just because Daddy wanted ice cream? Putting it in a level 2 snow alert for ice cream. He crawled onto his cot. Mugged for money you didn't have, shot for ice cream. Boy, I can still hear you. Quit your bawling and get back to sleep. Jules buried his face into his pillow. Mummy would have listened, because she knew my dreams always come true.